Hey guys, Jared here again for XDA Developer TV. So one of the biggest complaints I hear about pretty much any phone is the battery life. So I decided to put together a sort of XDA battery saver mod checklist for root users. Okie dokie, so the mods and apps I'm going to be featuring in this video you might already be aware of, but I'm hoping that you're either going to find something new, or if you're a modding vet, this will at the very least, hopefully, act as a bit of a refresher. So first up is something I've done with my devices since the days of the HTC Hero and Motorola Atrix, which is not only underclock the CPU, but also set up a screen off profile. So to do this, I generally use one of two methods. Basically, I find and download a well-made CPU control app. The one I used to use is Set CPU, but it hasn't been updated for a while, so I'd recommend one of the other many well-made CPU control apps on the Play Store. And by the way, if you guys have any new recommendations for CPU control apps, man, sound off in the comments below and let us know. But the method I generally use nowadays is downloading and flashing a custom kernel, which there never seems to be a shortage of here on XDA, and then installing Trickster mod from the Play Store. Now, if you get the paid version, it opens up a bunch of useful features, but to keep it simple, I just use it for little tweaks here and there. But most importantly for me, to underclock and set the screen off max CPU frequency. Now, I usually set my screen off max as low as the kernel will let me go, and then bump my max clock speed to a few hundred less than stock, simply because I don't need the CPU to spike when I'm doing mundane tasks like texting and composing emails and so on. The end result is a CPU that doesn't burn through battery when apps are updating or syncing in the background while in my pocket, and better power consumption while doing light tasks. And if you're a little more experienced or are interested in learning about undervolting, you can achieve even better power consumption, but for the purpose of this video, I wanted to keep things simple. Next up is an app called Llama. It does things similar to other apps like Locale and Tasker. It's not nearly as powerful as the aforementioned, but it's free, simple, and it does what I need it to. Anyways, so I use Llama to auto-disable and enable Wi-Fi when I leave and arrive back home. This way I don't have to remember to turn Wi-Fi on or off when I leave or come back. And it's actually really easy to set up for this purpose, and it doesn't use GPS or even data to find your home or work locations. Instead, it uses cell tower triangulation. That sounds fancy, doesn't it? So you don't have to worry about using this app to save your battery, while at the same time wasting battery. So next up is Greenify, and I'm sure most of you have heard of or even currently using it right now. It's a really effective and powerful app for putting your apps into hibernation and consequently saving you a ton of battery life as well as improved system performance. So for me, the free version is enough, especially when combined with all the other battery saving mods featured in this video. But Greenify, in my personal opinion, isn't much fun unless your device is rooted. Because without root, you'll be manually hibernating each app yourself, whereas with root access, the app will do it automatically for you. Now, there's an exposed framework module for Greenify, but I didn't really find it necessary for my needs. But if you have exposed framework installed, I do recommend checking it out for yourself. Either way, Greenify is an awesome companion app to pair with your other battery saving mods, and there's a bunch of other cool experimental features to explore too. So speaking of exposed framework modules, I've got a few for you. First up being Intelli3G, which after setting up, auto switches your data connection from say 4G to 3G, or 3G to 2G, or even 4G to 2G. It's really up to you. Now, Intelli3G was originally developed for the Nexus 4, but the developer mentions that it now works with several different popular Android devices and says it's compatible with stock Android 4.1 and up, or AOSP-based ROMs. So if you decide to try it with a stock OEM firmware, just be aware that you might hurt your phone. But it'll save you a little extra battery by switching to a less power-hungry band like 2G or 3G instead of being locked to 4G while idle. I mean, nobody needs a 4G LTE connection to receive notifications while the phone's in your pocket, right? Anyways, there's a bunch of different parameters that you can set and play around with too to squeeze even more idle time out of your battery, so it's definitely worth a look. Okay, so Boot Manager. I'm sure most of you are aware of what this module does. We've even featured it right here on the channel, but for those of you that aren't familiar with it, Boot Manager allows you to pick and choose which apps are and aren't allowed to start at boot up. So by preventing some of the apps that you may or may not use right away or even that often from starting at boot, you save power because those apps might want to start hidden background services and start pushing unwanted notifications and so on. But right now you're probably asking, but what about when you need to use those apps? Well, That's what Greenify is for. After you're done using whatever app it is you're using, as long as you don't have it set in Greenify to not hibernate the app, Greenify will put that app back to sleep until the next time you need it. See how it all kind of works together? Neat, huh? Anyways, the last module I have for you is called Performance Profile. Now, this app controls your device's CPU behavior, so technically you could replace whatever CPU control app you're using and use this instead. But the thing is, Performance Profile is app specific, as in it's meant to control the CPU behavior on a per app basis. So for instance, you obviously don't need the CPU to spike when you're texting or reading an email, but maybe you want it to sit at maximum load while you're in a long gaming session. There's screen off profiles, min and max CPU control, governor selection, and even GPU control. So with this module, you're really truly taking control of your CPU's behavior on a specific per app basis, which is not only cool, but also pretty impressive. Anyways, folks, that's it. That's all. Hopefully, some of you found this useful, even if you are a seasoned vet when it comes to Android modding. That said, with all these mods combined, trust me when I say you should see a pretty noticeable difference in battery life. And if you have any other battery saving mods and tricks that you think others should know about, do everyone a favor and let us know in the comments section. By the way, links to everything featured in this video will be in the description below. And if you liked this video or found it helpful, show some XDA love and tap that like button. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more of our videos in the future. Anyways, thanks as always for watching, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Cheers.